What is cross-cultural communication? The concept of intercultural communication was first introduced by anthropologist Edward Cole and Dr. Traeger in 1954. Today, this direction is actively developing in many countries of the world. This area is located at the intersection of such disciplines as linguistics, psychology, cultural studies, and philosophy. In cross-cultural communication, a number of basic theories are distinguished. First, adaptation theory, adaptation theory, coordinated value management and rule theory, rhetorical theory, constructive theory, theory of social categories and circumstances, conflict theory, adaptation theory. Adaptation theory is one of the main theories of intercultural communication. According to this theory, adaptation is a complex process. Being in a state of adaptation, a person gradually begins to get used to the new conditions in which he is. The dynamics of this process is called the dynamics of stress-adaptive growth. This dynamic process can be expressed in the thesis 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Periodically, a person has to move away from their main goal, full adaptation. These backward steps delay the adaptation process. Retreats are associated with crisis in cross-cultural communication. In order for the adaptation process to be successful, a number of specific conditions must be met. First, you need to establish communication with a new environment. To do this, you need to regulate the frequency of contacts and have a positive attitude during communication. Secondly, it is necessary to know a foreign language. Without knowledge of the language, it is quite difficult to achieve positive communication results. Third, motivation for communication is of great importance. Fourth, a person who wants to adapt as quickly and positively as possible should take part in various activities. Fifth, media data should be examined. Coordinated value management and rule theory. Human communication will always be not an ideal phenomenon. Ideal communication is something unattainable. It should be noted that not all communication acts have a specific goal, so mutual understanding during the communication process is not mandatory at all. In such cases, coordination becomes the goal of communication. Coordination becomes real only when the interaction is clear to all participants in the communication process. It is also important how the rules of the society are coordinated with each other. Rhetorical theory. According to the rhetorical theory, individual characteristics and context specifics are important in cross-cultural communication. This theory allows you to analyze not only individual characteristics, but also to analyze the characteristics of certain groups. This theory also includes an analysis of the subconscious adaptation of messages in relation to certain communication situations. The recipient interprets the meaning of the transmitted information based on the context laid down by the sender of the information, and the information becomes clear from a specific situation. Constructive theory. Each person has their own cognitive system, which helps them correctly understand the words and actions of other members of communication. Your own culture influences the perception system of each person. Members of different backstage communities have different ideas about the surrounding reality. Each person has their own cognitive consciousness, which determines the behavior of an individual in certain situations. Theory of social categories and circumstances. This theory of social categories and circumstances of cross-cultural communication focuses on certain stereotypes, schemes of the communication process, in other words, on the mechanisms of perception that underlie mutual understanding between people and social consciousness. An important role in this issue is played by a person's self-esteem. It is formed under the influence of social groups to which a person belongs. When an individual enters into communication with representatives of another culture community, the so-called communicative accommodation occurs. That is, a person is to set out to communicate with another person. All this is shown in the framed stereotypes that are formed in our minds about feathered cultures. Conflict theory. Conflict theory plays an important role in cross-cultural communication. Conflict, in this case, is considered quite normal. This conflict situation, in turn, is regulated by the norms of a certain culture. Each cultural community, in turn, has certain conflict models and also has certain ways that can resolve these conflict models. It should be noted that there are differences between conflict resolution in collectivist cultures and individualistic cultures. In cultures where collectivism prevails, special importance is attached to the causes from conflict. A strong reaction is given when the rules of the collective are violated, but the end of conflicts often occurs on an intuitive level. Individualistic cultures prefer to resolve conflicts in a straightforward way. Conclusion. All of the above cultural theories represent aspects of such a complex phenomenon as cross-cultural communication. It should be noted that cross-cultural communication is a versatile phenomenon, so a unified approach in this direction has not yet been developed. Cross-cultural communication is considered effective if the received message is adequate in relation to the sent one. If there is no understanding between the communication participants, then this process can be regarded as meaningless.